Hi guys, and welcome back to EasyPy 3. In this lesson we will finish looking at lists. There are two new operators I want to introduce, in and not in. We briefly looked at the in keyword when going through the for loop. With lists they are used to check if something is in the list or not in the list. Pretty simple, right? Note that they can be used with any sequence type, which includes strings and tuples, which you will learn about in the next lesson. Now you can also use the for loop with a range function to populate a list. This can be done in two ways. Firstly, you have the append method. So you start off with an empty list, and then you write 4 numbers in range 1 to 6. And then use the append method to add those numbers into the empty list. The second way is to use the insert method. Everything is the same, except now that we're using the insert method, we need to put in a location. And we're going to put 0 to start with, followed by our number. Note that since we put 0 as the location, the new value always comes out to the front. If we want it ordered, we have to put 5 as the location. You can also use the for loop to print out the items in a list, as you can see in the example. Knowing all this, we can make all sorts of simple programs. For example, we can find the smallest number in a list. Firstly, we create a new variable and we assign it with the first index of the number list. Then we use the for loop and we put in a conditional statement to compare the numbers in the list and then update the variable with the smallest. Another program we can make is to make a new list from an old list with no repetition. To do this, again, we start with an empty list and we use the for loop and the if statement to append the numbers into the new list. Another way to populate a list is to use list comprehension. You can use the for loop again, but this time in just one line. The first part, i.e. the expression, in our case the number times 2, collects the result on each iteration and puts it into the new list. The second part works as a normal for loop. You can also use conditional statements within the comprehension. This time it only selected the numbers that leave a remainder 1. List comprehension can also be useful for comparing lists. This can be done in two ways. If you wanted to check if one list has all the items that are in another list, you can use list comprehension along with the OR function. For example, if we wanted to check if all the films in the Ben list are in the comedies list, we can write all films in comedies for films in Ben. This returns a Boolean value of true, as all the films are in comedies list. However, if we change the expression around, we now get false, as all the films and comedies list are not in Ben list. If you wanted to check if any of the items are in both lists, you can similarly use the any function, again resulting in a true value. This time it can be written in either way and the result would be true, as both lists have 2 of the same films. Okay guys, that's all for lists. A PDF with examples of all the built-in functions related to lists is in the resources folder. Do check it out as it contains many useful shortcuts For example, instead of making a smallest number program, you can just use a function. As always, if you have any questions, please do ask.